Hi guys and welcome to this lesson. So over the previous lessons we've covered an awful lot of ground, and some of it I can understand was very hard to grasp. It was very much theory based, follow, unfollow, followed, followers, etc, etc. Now excuse the pun, but hopefully you've been following along and you've made it this far, and if you have, well done, thanks for sticking with me. In this lesson we're going to start adding a web user interface. This will help cement your learning from the previous lessons. Our user interface will allow users following and unfollowing functionality. So let's get started. We'll begin by using Rails DB Seed to fill the database with sample relationships. So I've gone ahead and added all the code in for this lesson because there is quite a lot of code and we're going to go through it now. So first let's go to Rails DB Seed. I have the file open here in front of me, and as you can see, starting at line 18 we've added in code here. And what we've done here is arrange for the first user to follow users 3 through to 51, and then have users 4 through to 41 follow that user back. Now to run this code, go to your terminal and run Rails DB migrate DB reset and then Rails DB seed. With our sample users in place, which have both followers and users that they follow, what we need to do now is update the profile page to show this information. We'll create a partial to display the following and follower statistics. These stats will be displayed on the profile and home pages. We'll start by modifying our routes file. So go to config routes. So let me pop that file open. So I have the changes made. So starting at line 10, resources users do, members do, get, following, and followers. Each of the stats that we are going to display should link out to their respective lists. We added these links in a previous lesson, but we did not send them anywhere. We'll complete the actual pages shortly, but what we have just done is set the routes for them. Note that we've just used member in a resources block, which we haven't used before. As both of these new pages will be showing data, the proper HTTP verb is a GET request. Here we've used the GET method to arrange for the URLs to respond correctly. The member method arranges for the routes to respond to URLs containing the user ID. Now we can go ahead and create the partials. So go to app views shared, and we're going to create a new file called _stats. So app views shared, here we are, and as you can see I have a new file here called _stats.html.orb. Now you can see the code in here, starting off by making sure you're the current user and then adding in the stats. So go ahead and enter that code now. We're going to be including the stats on both the user show pages and the home page. The first line of code that we've just written achieves that. The code does nothing when @user is not nil, but when it is, @user is set to the current user. Take a look at how we count the followers and those that we are following on lines 5 and lines 11. This is similar to the count we use for snapshots. Rails counts directly in the database for efficiency. Also note the CSS elements which will be used by JavaScript. Now we need to include the stats on our home page, which is just a matter of adding the partial. So go to app views HTML pages, home. And you can see here starting at line 9, ending at line 11, I've added in the stats partial. Now let's style our stats. And to do that we go to app, assets, style sheets, custom. Now if you scroll down to the sidebar section starting on my file at line 127, so scroll down here, and as you can see then at line 164 I've started the styling for the stats. So that goes all the way, so you can enter in this code. I'll just scroll through it nice and slowly here. The code starts at 164, goes down, then you have user avatars, users.follow, so the code ends at line 200. So go ahead and add that code in now. To bring this lesson to a close, we'll create the partials for the follow and unfollow buttons. So go to App Views Users, so on the left hand side here, Views Users, and create _follow form. So there it is there. So simple enough, a follow form, if current user following at user, show the follow button, else show the unfollow button, else show the follow button. To make this code work, we'll need to create a follow and unfollow partials, which will need routes for the relationships resource. So let's go back to config routes. And the last line here, line 16, resources, relationships, only, create and destroy. Now let's go back to App Views and Users, and we start off with the follow partial. So you're going to have to create this file _follow.html.erb and enter in this code, which gives us a follow button. And the same thing again with unfollow. Create an unfollow partial and add in this code. We've just used form_width to manipulate a relationship model object. Our first partial, which is the follow, back to it here, builds a new relationship, whereas the second partial, unfollow, finds an existing relationship. And how do we know that? First partial, first line, 3/4 of the way through, relationships.build. Second partial, 3/4 of the way through, relationships.findBy. The first sends a post request to the relationships controller to create a relationship. The second sends a delete request to destroy a relationship. The follow form doesn't have any content other than a button, but it still needs to send the followed _ID to the controller. This is done using the hidden _field tag. So let's take a look. There we go at line 2, hidden _field tag, followed ID. The hidden _field method produces HTML. The hidden input tag puts the relevant relationship information on the page without displaying it on the browser. Now let's add the follow form and the statistics to the user profile page. We do this by rendering partials. So go to App Views Users Show. Here we are. And starting at line 10, ending at line 11, we've added in stats. And also line 15, render follow _form if the user is logged in. Now, our buttons don't work at the moment, but they do display. In the coming lessons, we'll get the buttons to work. So I have my server up and running. Let me jump into my application. So as you can see, I'm here as the test user. I'm following 49 people and I have 38 followers. Excellent. Now, if I click on these, they don't work as I just said. But let me go to our list of users. Let me click on Brandy Dibbert. And as you can see, he has no following and he has no followers. So he isn't following anybody and he doesn't have any followers. But he does have a follow button up here at the top. What happens if I click it? Doesn't work, but it will shortly. Okay guys, that's it for this lesson. Thanks for listening and I'll see you in the next.